In the first part of this project, I showed you how to make these copper bezels. Now for the second part, let's finish them up and turn them into necklaces. The first thing we're going to do is drill 2 holes at the top of the back plate of our pendant, and that's where we are going to attach our chain. Now, if you have a hole punch, you can use that to make your holes, or just a drill is fine. Use a small bit, just a few millimeters, whatever size your wire will fit through, or your jump rings. And as you can see, I'm drilling onto a piece of wood, and that's basically it. Once you have those 2 holes drilled, we can start our project. Now, I gathered a few things on my workbench. You can see I have some little bowls that I filled with some possible items that we could fill our little bezels with. And here's a few. First thing I have is some paper. We have a really old book page. I have a playing card. I have some pages from a really old atlas that was headed for the trash. And so I thought maybe one of those would be interesting to use. I have some broken glass buttons that I don't want to throw away. I can break them up into smaller pieces with my glass breaker and possibly put some of those little shards into my bezel cup. I also have a piece of tin that I cut. I'm not really sure I'm going to use it, but it's an idea. Of course, I have some broken china, some cut china pieces and broken china pieces, and those are always a possibility. As a matter of fact, I already have an idea for one that I want to use with a piece of china. So then I have some gold leaf. I recently did some gold leaf projects, so I have some of that on my workbench, and I have my beads. So since we're using copper bezels, I love blue with copper and I love green with copper. So I pulled out 2 of my stone bead boxes, one of greens and one of blues. And, just to give me an idea of some colors I might want to use that I will coordinate with, let's say I use a piece of the glass or a piece of the china. I'm going to coordinate it so my colors are all in the same group when I make the pendant. So, you can see how beautiful the color goes with copper. So I'll spend some time poking around through the beads and choose a few that I like, and I'll set those aside. There's so many different materials here to choose from. I might have pulled out too many, but, we got to have our options, right? So now that I have some things chosen, I'm going to go through and I'm going to see what fits where. And I'm just playing around here with these buttons. I'm seeing which colors I like and which shapes and what fits into what nicely or that type of thing. So it's a lot of time just spent sitting and going through the materials and just arranging things. And it's just mixed media. So we're using all these different elements, and we're going to see what works. And I spent a lot of time fidgeting with the little pieces of glass here. I had to cut so many minutes out, you wouldn't believe it. And I think I turned an over 2-hour video into a 15 or 20-minute video. But all the important parts are here, and that's what's important. So I pulled some of the pages of that atlas out, and I picked out places where I vacationed as a child. One of them being Cape May, New Jersey, one the Outer Banks in Cape Hatteras, and I pulled those aside and thought, I do one of those for one of my pendants, and it has a really personal meaning. And I love that about using mementos and personal items in your jewelry, and it just it's only for you, it's unique, it's one of a kind. So I always like to make myself something like that when I'm making jewelry just in general for my shop, or for myself too and my family. So here I arranged some of the pieces that I'm gathering together. A piece of the map, a piece of a book page, and little shards of glass. And basically just fidgeting back and forth, arranging and rearranging and arranging again until I had, a design that I was happy with. You can see I used the heart part of one of the cards, and later on I decided not to use that, and I switched that out for something else. But what I really wanted to do was get some china in these bezels. So I have a bowl of some of my favorite pieces that I set aside, And when I want to make a mosaic, I have these special pieces. And I thought, I'll look in there and see if I have any really small ones that'll fit or that I could cut down. And you can do that with a glass breaking tool like I showed you earlier with the buttons. Or you could break it, with a hammer. But, you always want to wear safety glasses. You can tell in the earlier part when I was cutting one of those buttons, I don't know if you noticed that a little shard of glass flew off to the left. And yeah, that happens all the time when you're cutting things like that. It's thick and curved, and, you can put your hand over it when you cut it, or, a towel or whatever to keep pieces from flying around. But basically, this was the arrangement that I had after fidgeting around with them. And once I got the back done first, whatever background you want, which I used paper for. And then I put a little bit of china and a little bit of glass. And then I pulled out some of my beads and I decided to use pearls. So I thought the one that's blue with the Atlantic Ocean looks nice with one pearl in. And we're ready basically to put our resin on now. And I used this ice resin, which dries very clear. It's great for jewelry making. And you have a kit that has a measuring cup and a little stir, or you can use a popsicle stick to do that. The next thing you're going to do is read and follow the directions that come with your resin. Most of them are pretty straightforward and pretty much about the same kind of instructions, where you're mixing equal parts of each of the two bottles. And when you mix them, you have to be very thorough that you scrape down the sides and the bottom of the little mixing container. And you also need to scrape down the sides of the little mixing stick you're using so that they are completely combined. Now, if you get any drips on your neck of your bottle, just wipe them off, put the lid back on. So now we're going to carefully mix our two parts of resin together, taking care to fold it in, try not to get too many air bubbles, scrape down the sides and the stick. And I did speed this up a little bit so you wouldn't have to sit through 2 minutes of that. Now you're going to let it sit for 5 minutes. Now you can see with this pendant, I decided to use some gold leaf. So you can use either a paintbrush or a toothpick or your fingertips to pick up those little pieces of gold leaf or metal leaf. You can get it in copper and silver or, aluminum. And I placed some of those little pieces on the bottom, and I'm using my stirring stick to just lift a little bit of that resin and drizzle it around the edges. Now, if I were to pour that right from the cup, I would get too much. It would be flooded. And remember, we're putting more elements into this. We're putting little pieces of china and glass and beads in there, and we don't want the resin making a giant mess over the edges. So you can see what I did here. I picked through some little pieces of gold. I stuck them around the edges, and I'm using a toothpick to help push some of them down into the resin. You want to also use any materials in your resin that aren't going to, keep a lot of air bubbles in there. You don't want to do anything like that. Like no live flowers or anything that can actually start to deteriorate and ruin your pendant. So I put the gold leaf in, and then I put a little bit more resin on top so that I have a background that is basically all wet with resin. So when I put my elements in, they will stick. And some of the beads will roll around a little bit, and I will use the toothpick to coax them back to where they're supposed to be, or at least to where I want them to be. So this first one I did with a really old piece of light blue and white English transferware. And I just used gold leaf in the background, and I think the gold and blue look pretty together. And that piece of china fit in there pretty well. It doesn't have to have the contours of the edge. We're not putting stone cabochons in these. These are kind of a mishmash of different little trinkets. And here's the next one we're going to work on. This one, the main focal, I would say, part of it is that piece of china that has a green leaf on it. So I chose green as my main color. And there looks to be a little bit of kind of an iridescence on some of those little button pieces. So there's some gold and some more green and maybe a little pink in there or magenta. And I'm just placing those around almost like a puzzle, fitting them in. And I did fit them in before I poured the resin. I should point out, I did fit all those things in pretty much where I wanted them. And then when I took the pieces out to pour the resin, I set them very carefully in the order, that I had them in the bezel, so it would be easy to figure out where they go again. So here I'm fussing with a bead just to fill in a little corner. I found a little glass green bead, and those are filled. And now they're going to sit overnight or for 24 hours. And once they're hardened, then we're going to make our necklaces. Now, right after I poured that resin, I looked over on my workbench and I found these green glass earrings that I made a few years ago. They were actually going to be a project in my second book that's called Soldered Alchemy. And I saw them on my workbench and I thought, I'm going to make a video or a blog tutorial about those. So those will be coming up soon. Now, here we are back the next day and the resin has completely hardened. Now, when I first poured the one with the blue and white china, I thought that I would not make a big dome on it, so to speak, with the resin, and that I would leave some of the china so you can touch it and you can feel that. And I landed up putting a little bit more resin because you don't want to have any kind of sharp corners. So anytime I used the glass, I made sure that I coated it in resin. Now, here's the chain that I'll show you that you can whip together really quickly. It's an art chain. This is also a project that's in my second book called Soldered Alchemy. So I used some copper wire. I think I had like 20 gauge, 21 gauge, and I straightened it out with some wire straightening pliers. And I'm showing you here, I have another spool that's very, very tarnished. And all you have to do with that is run it through either a piece of steel wool or a green Scotch-Brite pad, and it takes all that tarnish off. So we're going to take a popsicle stick and holding one end of the wire down, wrapping it around and around and around a few times, and then we snip the wire off, and that makes links. And you snip down the center of the popsicle stick, each one separately. You clip them off, and you're left with these links. And you just put one onto the next one. You close it up with your fingers, and you can put a drop of solder on there and close up that seam. You can leave it silver. You can put a copper patina on it if you like, or black. And that's how you make that kind of chain. And when you get to the end and you want to attach it to your pendant, you just thread that bottom loop through the hole in the pendant, close it up, and then solder it closed, because you don't want anything, coming apart. You want to solder each link if you can. So the other option is to use a pre-made chain, and I have a lot of that copper-colored antiqued chain, and that's really great to use too. It's a much thinner chain, and here I'm looking for a bead or two to add to the chain on the pendant. So when I attach the chain to the pendant, I'm not going to attach it directly to the pendant, but I'm going to use a piece of wire with a bead on it. And so I found two 6mm angel light beads. It's a really pretty soft, like a powder blue. And what we're going to do to attach those is we're going to cut a piece of wire, whatever wire fits through your bead, probably about 21, 22 gauge usually works. But yeah, always make sure your beads fit on your wire before you cut your wire. So I'm going to cut a length of wire, a couple inches, and then I'm going to hold it up to my spool of wire and just match it up to cut a second piece. That's the same length. That's just so you don't have to measure twice against the ruler. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a wrapped loop, which is a really basic jewelry making technique. You need to know how to do this to make any kinds of jewelry. So you're going to grip the wire, bend it over at a 90-degree angle, and that's with your chain nose pliers. And then I'll put those down and pick up my round nose or rosary pliers, and I'm going to pull that short tail end of wire over around the round jaw. And when it goes over the round jaw, it creates a nice circle. All right, take those pliers out. And then you're going to take that short end of wire and you're going to feed it through one of the holes in the top of your pendant. And then using your rosary pliers, because they have a pointy small, end, you're going to use that to grip right at the loop. And then you'll take your chain nose pliers to grab the small end of the wire, and you're going to wrap that snugly around there at least twice. And you want to, take your time and wrap the wire close, to the previous wrap so that it looks nice, because this is right at the forefront of your pendant. And you'll notice any, mistakes. So snip off whatever little end there is, run your finger to make sure there's no sharp, point. And if there is, or if it's sticking out, use your chain nose pliers just to give it a little squeeze and squeeze that tiny little end of wire back. Use your fingers to bend it if it's, got a little crooked during the process. Now you're going to just slide your bead right onto your wire. And then we are going to make another wrapped loop. So once again, fold the wire over, 90-degree angle. Use your round nose pliers to wrap it up and around. Take out those pliers. Now we're going to feed the chain on there. You don't want to forget to do that or you'll have to do the wrap all over again. So feed the chain on there. It happens. And then finish the wrap. Here's the other side. I did it a little slower so you could see. Now every time you do this process, it's basically the same thing. When you finish, you're going to snip the end of the wire with your wire cutting pliers and then run your finger over it. Make sure there's no little nib sticking out, and if there is, use your chain nose pliers to push that end down. You don't want to use your finger. You'll probably stick yourself. So use the pliers, use the tools, and that's basically that necklace. And all we have to do is put a clasp on. And to do that, since I used one long piece of chain, all you have to do is pull the chain out, with both sides together so you find the center, and then snip it. And then I like to turn it around so that the pendant's facing away from me. I'm right-handed. I like to have my clasps on the right-hand side, and that's how I put most of my necklaces together. And so this way it's easy to have it on the right. Now you open up your jump ring. I have one's a little bit larger than the other. I think I have a 5mm and a 5.5mm. The smaller one we're going to put on first, and that's the one that we're going to attach our clasp with. So you're going to grip the jump ring with 2 pliers, and you do not pull it open to pull the ends apart. You are going to go, one goes forward, one goes back. If you pull apart the jump ring to open it, you're going to weaken it, and it's not going to close all the way. So as you can see here, that's how we close it too. 2 pairs of pliers, one on each side. And here you can see as I do the last one. And again, this is a technique, if you're new with jewelry making, you're going to do this a bazillion times. So it's really important to learn the right way. So now you can attach your clasp to the catch on the other end of the chain. And, if you want to, you can leave your necklace, like that and say it's finished. And, I had this piece of lace on my workbench and I thought, it just looks really good with that blue and copper necklace. So I thought I would, cut a couple little strands off it and tie it onto the chain. And it was just, on a whim, one of those things like, I'll try it and see if I like it. And I used a toothpick so I could poke, the ribbon through the link of the chain. And then, I did it with both sides and I just tied a simple knot. And then I took a look at it and decided the ribbon was a little bit too long. So I just took my scissors and I snipped off the ends of the ribbon until it was a length that I liked. And I like it. I think it adds a neat dimension to that necklace. And here are the others that I finished. You can see I used some different beads, and I used a bead, a little tiny copper crimp bead and a blue bead in that one. I just needed some kind of a little spacer, and for this one I used a green. And that's basically our necklaces. And, I hope you like this tutorial. I hope you try to make one yourself. I would love to see photos and hear about it. If you want to leave a comment below, that's great if you have any questions about this project. Also, you can send a photo to the Facebook page, which is Dysfunctional Designs, and I would love to share it with, everyone who follows our page. These last photos are just a peek of what's coming up in my shop soon, so be sure to stop by and check that out. I hope you like this video. Please give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe.